Yeah.
Let me know when you're okay. So Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, is someone who was a household name in the late 1960s, early 1970s. He was the leader of the Black Power movement back then. And he was involved in the struggle for civil rights in Mississippi, Alabama. Later, he became the chair of a student nonviolent coordinating committee. In the period when that organization had moved from the kind of civil rights framework to the Black Power framework, he was central to that. You would have seen him on TV back then. You would have seen him as one of those kind of prominent figures. He ended up in prison in the New York prison system in the early 1970s. While he was there, he converted to Islam. He changed his name to Jamil Al-Amin. Became involved in the Muslim community in Atlanta, Georgia, over the next few decades, and then in 2000 he was wrongfully convicted of in an incident involving a shooting of a law enforcement officer, and he's been in first the custody of the Georgia state prison system and then in federal custody since then. I came across his story about 8 years ago now, and I met his wife, who lives in Atlanta, has been with him since 1967, and it soon became apparent to me that he had this remarkable story that had been completely forgotten. His name wasn't mentioned in any of the sort of major books that had come out about the history of the Black Power movement, and he'd been erased, and that's part of what has been planned for him by putting him in prison, for him to be disappeared like that. So I thought that it would be a worthwhile project for me to try and write his biography. So I began working on that, interviewing people that he'd worked with over the years, working in the archives to kind of gather information about his story. And of course, when you're writing a biography of someone who's still alive, you want to interview them as well, of course. And so I went through the process of trying to approach the Federal Bureau of Prisons to get the permission necessary to go and interview him in the prison, and they multiple requests that I put in, they denied. I spoke to various people trying to get help with that. No one could help. I spoke to ACLU. I spoke to other friends who were lawyers and journalists who had experience with this kind of thing. Everyone basically concluded that when you're dealing with prisons, there's very little you can do about something like this. So I was looking at basically not being able to have access to him, to interview him, and facing the prospect that he would die in prison without having the opportunity to tell his remarkable story. And then I got in touch with the First Amendment Law Clinic at Cornell University that I was referred to by a journalist friend. And for the first time, someone told me that there was things we could do, and there was possible legal remedies that could be pursued. And then, given that he was in the federal prison in Tucson, Arizona, we partnered with the First Amendment Law Clinic at Arizona State University, and put together an argument that the denial of my access to Jamil Al-Amin in the federal prison was a violation of my First Amendment rights as a writer, and we wrote to the prison and said, if this is our legal argument, we're happy to go to court. But if you want to negotiate to do an interview without us having to do that, then we'll look at that. And they did respond. This was in early 2021. They did respond positively at that point. I don't think they would have done if it wasn't for the help that I got from Cornell and Arizona First Amendment clinics. I was able to spend about 8 hours interviewing Jamil Al-Amin in 2021, which totally transformed my biography project to a whole new level, and enabled him to be able to go into a lot of detail about some of the activities that he was involved in his life that, somewhat sensitive and not easy to talk about, given the form the struggle took in those periods in the late 60s, early 70s. He was, somewhat involved with the Black Panther Party and so on. And I then, after working on this project for another couple of years, and a lot more material had come out, coming from interviews that I'd done and so on, I was hoping to do another set of interviews with him, with all the follow-up questions that had come from that additional research, and then I thought that would just be a formality again to do another interview with him. It had already happened before. It didn't seem like a big deal to be able to do it again. But again, the request was denied by the prison, so we went through the same process. I got back in touch with the folks at the First Amendment clinics at Cornell University Law School and Arizona State University Law School, and they put together another legal complaint, which we submitted. And again, that was necessary in order to shift them to allow me to have access once again. And that has led to me literally this morning spending another couple of hours with Jamil Al-Amin, and I'll be seeing him again tomorrow lunchtime for another couple of hours. This project has been totally transformed as a result of the help I've had from Arizona State University Law Department's First Amendment Clinic.